Now, 16-year-old humanitarian Simran Sahib is using Women's Month to address this pervasive issue and change this daunting narrative for South Africa's girl child. Simran joins us now via Zoom. Thanks very much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, let's start off this conversation looking at this issue of period poverty. Give us some insights about this issue. What have you seen?
So, period poverty refers to when many girls and women do not have access to the necessary sanitary wear. And as a result, they're forced to stay at home because of this. This is such a huge issue because it affects over 7 million girls across South Africa and has serious consequences, where actually 30% of schoolgirls in South Africa are unable to currently attend school because of this, which is actually heartbreaking.
All right, and some of these schools, so if they do make it to school, some of these schools don't have sufficient sanitation. Is that something that you're seeing as well?
Yes, sanitation is a key issue for menstrual equity, which actually affects all provinces across South Africa except for the Western Cape, where actually right now over 5,000 teachers and 144,000 students do not have adequate access to sanitation. And this is not efficient for period management and could result in the spread of diseases.
Yeah, this must have a huge impact on the girl children in schools if there's no proper sanitation available.
Absolutely, yes.
What are some of the solutions you think that could be employed to deal with period poverty?
So there are many things that we as individuals and as a community can do to help aid the end of period poverty, including legislative changes, national advocacy, and especially supporting organizations which specialize in spreading the awareness and raising funds for these girls who need access to sanitary wear. One of my initiatives, which I started to help with this, is known as the Legacy Gala. And the whole aim of this is to not just raise awareness and funds for these girls, but to also help them and empower them through life so that they can take what they learn from this experience back to their communities and make a change that can help with their future and also end intergenerational poverty.
I mean, the numbers that we're looking at are enormous. And so that means there's a lot of girls who are not in school. How do we help? You've mentioned some of the initiatives that you're doing, but there must be more that the wider community and society can do.
I think the most important thing that we can do as a society is to have open discussions around periods, because this is something that is a part of womanhood. We all go through this, regardless of our backgrounds and where we're from. So just being able to have these discussions, and if you have the financial means as well to support any causes in your local community as well, can make a huge difference.
All right. At the moment, where can girls go to talk about some of these challenges? Because it must be quite embarrassing for them to say that, look, I don't have access, this is my situation. How do we manage that?
I think with regard to, when it comes to girls in townships who are looking for a wider group of people who can help them, like I said, organizations like the Legacy Gala were more than willing to get involved. And if they'd like, you can please DM us on at the Legacy Gala at Instagram, or any girl who wants to get involved with this initiative can email info@thenishmarket.co.za as well.
All right, and again, this is something that womanhood visits young girls, and sometimes they can be quite young, and so that becomes an even harder hurdle for someone very young who doesn't quite understand what's going on and how to deal with these issues.
I think it's very important for these young girls to speak to the teachers as well as people in their community to get more information on this. as those of us who are older and entering this journey of adulthood, it's our responsibility to help those younger generations who are up and coming.
What role can men, boys play in this story? You talked partly about honest conversations. Is there anything else that we can do? Because whilst it is something that women go through, we live in a community and in a world together.
Yes, absolutely. I think it is very important that as much as we as a society aim to help women through this, it's also important to educate men as well, so that we can work together and help end this negative exposure that comes with the social stigma of having your periods. It's so important that men understand, and growing boys understand entirely what this means, because at the end of the day, it affects all of us.
All right. You know what? We thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Very, very important work in helping our girls. So thank you so much for doing that and talking to us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. All right. That's Simran Sahib, teenage activist trying to help end period poverty, which affects millions and millions of young girls across the country. Many of them, as many as 30%, could be losing time in education, and that of course has its own consequences. So something that certainly we need to be mindful of during Women's Month and beyond. Stay with us. You're watching The Globe.